Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to IBM TV's Day at the Olympics. And I'm Nick Paladin. I'm here with Jackie Barata, and we're here to discuss what's going on in the Olympics today and also what happened in the past. So, Jackie, can you give us some highlights? What's been happening in the Olympics? Do you have any highlights to share with us?
Definitely, for sure. Some of the highlights that I have to be presented today is South Africa's Tatjana Sochenmar. She claimed the first individual swimming world record at the Tokyo Olympics after winning the women's 200-mile breaststroke with a time of 2:18.95. We have the Serbian tennis player Novak Djokic's Golden Slam, and his hopes were dashed by a loss to Germany's Alexander Zverev in the men's singles semifinals. The first athletics gold medal of the games went to Ethiopia's Selman Barega for the men's 10,000 meter, and then the U.S. team is out of the mix 4x400 relay after a baton pass took place outside of the designated handoff zone during a qualifying heat.
Yeah, I saw that baton pass miss. Okay. Is that one of the problems you have if you don't have a lot of practice because of COVID-19? Do we see things like that happening a lot in the Olympics? People are out of practice because of COVID-19. And one little error can make a big difference, Jackie. Can it not, just like the baton pass?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. When I was watching that whole relay, that playoff during the Olympics, it was a very stressful moment because they were both juggling back and forth, almost about to drop it. And if they do drop it throughout the game, then it could potentially put their team more backwards instead of forwards in the games in the Olympics.
Right. And Djokovic, who's the number one tennis player in the world, losing into Olympics, that's a big headline. I mean, how does a number one tennis player who's beaten like everybody and won all the major events, what happens when he gets to the Olympics? He loses. How does that work?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like each player should be bringing their A game at all times when they are participating in the Olympics. And so, of course, there are a lot of pressures and challenges each player will go through, will endure. But if you're not bringing your A game, then it's definitely going to make it more of a challenge when you're competing against other highly competitive teams in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, these are some fun facts that were brought up by one of our directors and producers on the IPM TV network. I just find this fascinating. The cost of participating in individual sports, which is important, especially internationally, because you can't spend a lot of money on certain sports like American football, is frankly very expensive to play because of the suits, the helmets, the shoes, everything. But one of the least expensive is basketball. The cost to play basketball is basically $16. Of course, I guess you didn't bring in the basketball hoops, but basically $16 for a ball, and then you play basketball. Table tennis, $18. The paddles, I guess, and the ball. But they didn't bring into account the table tennis, which actually can be pretty expensive. Badminton, $40, and the badminton just needs a net, which isn't that expensive. Skateboarding, $55. And then you have boxing, $445. I'm not sure if gloves are that expensive, but maybe the ring is and things like that. Surfing, $510. Yep, the surfboard costs money. Swimming, $557. I don't know where they get that figure from, because swimming pools can be pretty expensive to maintain. Gymnastics, $566. Fencing, $1,448. Weightlifting, $1,975. Golf, $2,592. Now, I play golf. It's not that expensive. But if you're going to play on a golf course, it is. Equestrian, $10,410. Now, that I do know is expensive because we used to own a quarter horse. And horses eat hay and have to be maintained all the time. So if you're an equestrian, you're spending some big bucks. And then the most expensive, the modern pentathlon, $13,580. So it does seem to make a difference, the expense of that you have on this. But in the meantime, let's go take a look at some of the sports that are out there right now that we're taking a look at. Let's go take a look. So we'll start with gymnastics team. How are we doing in the gymnastic area? The United States. Looks like we had some gold medal winners, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a few gold medal winners in the gymnastics team from the United States. And they did compete pretty well. There was definitely some neck and neck competition going on between the United States and other major teams as well while they were competing in the gymnastics teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the thing is, the other thing that I found quite interesting is in basketball. The USA is going to be playing basketball today, and it used to be no one would want to watch it because the USA can't lose. Now everybody needs to watch it because the USA can lose. Who are we going up against basketball with right now? I mean, I know that Latvia won the 3-on-3, but now we're looking at the the men's individual 5-on-5 competition. It looks like they're going to start facing some headways, right? In the basketball area.
Yeah, absolutely. In regards for the U.S. playing on the basketball team, it all depends because they did bring COVID with them to the Tokyo Games. They contracted it. They did test positive. So it's definitely not giving the U.S. the best name as of right now in regards for the basketball team. So there are like a lot of interesting series of events that will play out in regards to what major team they are going up against.
Okay, yeah, and volleyball teams. How are we doing in volleyball? I know Ada has been following up that pretty carefully, but our volleyball team seems tend to be doing pretty good in the Olympics. I think we've won quite a few of the gold medals in volleyball. So what are we looking at? Are there any more volleyball? I guess they're moving into the semifinals and the finals, right, today? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I think as the Olympics in Tokyo starts to come to a close, we are nearing the final stages of it. We are entering the semifinals of the Olympics. So I do believe there are a few more volleyball games before the Olympics is concluded.
Okay, and then of course we have the very famous Biles. Simone Biles. She pulls out. Is there any chance that she's actually going to participate again, or is it this over with it for her?
I am glad that you did mention that because what I want to point out about it is she didn't pull out just to pull out. She pulled out because she wanted to prioritize her mental health. That was the main reason why she wanted to pull out.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people backed her and some people questioned it. So I think it's very important that we actually bring that up and pay attention to it because Simone Biles, she's very athletic, she's very gifted, very talented. But she definitely was a class act when she did receive the silver when she lost to another Russian athlete. But I do believe that it is important because she knows herself. She knows I'm not going to put myself out there and worsen my situation more possibly.
Mm-hmm.
My own mental health is more important. I'm going to prioritize that. The cameras, the media, the paparazzi doesn't really matter right now. What matters is my own well-being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is, if you looked at it, the thing is, you could tell she was just a little off, which for a lot of sports, to me, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, I'm a little off. Like probably Djokovic was a little off because we lost in tennis. The problem with gymnastics, it's very dangerous, especially the stuff that she does. These triple backflips up in the air. I mean, if you land wrong, and I'm sure she's familiar with a lot of people that get seriously injured, it makes a big difference. So being a little off at that level, I would do like she did. I would say put a halt to it for right now. So I think she definitely did the right thing, and not much else you could say about that except she probably did the right thing on that. Okay, so let's go to swimming. Our swimming teams. How are the U.S. doing in swimming? Looks like we're doing pretty good there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we seem to be doing quite all right in regards for the swimming games. There are other teams that have. I think the U.S. won a few of the swimming games, and then we have other countries that also they're also kind of tied neck and neck at the same level with the U.S. in regards for swimming.
Yeah. We have a comment from Mark Lee. Boxing costs may be gym membership cost. I was going like, oh, okay. I was wondering what the cost was playing boxing. $445. What for the glove? I mean, some of these things can be pretty expensive, but a lot of these sports they make them where people around the world can play, which is a good thing for that. So let's go on to the gold, because gold is very important, at least for the United States. Are we winning or losing in the gold medal count? Or let's go to the medal count first, because that's better. How's the USA doing the medal count?
In the medal count, we've only won a few medals, but we have received quite a good amount of gold and a few bronze medals. So it doesn't really quite exactly put us at the top team of receiving as many of the gold medals as compared to the other teams like China and other teams. They are like really racking up all of those gold medals. So we're kind of like coming in towards like second or third, possibly fourth.
Okay. Now I'll talk something near and dear to your heart. Syria. I don't know if you've been following Syria. They made a team to the Olympics, which I think is a good thing, because the problem with governments, which if you see some of our TV channels, some of our people that are commentators on other shows really don't like governments taking over and doing their thing, which apparently has happened. But it was good to see Syria, because there's a lot of people there that, hey, look, we want to play in the Olympics, want to participate. And like even when I was in Russia, a lot of great people over in Russia. And then you have the government. So Syria, how are they doing in the Olympics? It's good to see them in the Olympics. How are they doing right now? I know they sent a contingent over there. We found some exciting things with other countries like Marino winning their first gold medal, and some other small countries actually coming forward, and some of them are a pretty large country, like the Philippines, winning their first gold medal, which I think in gymnastics, which was pretty important. How's our friends in Syria doing, Jackie?
The Syrian team is doing very well as of right now. They do have a very well competitive stance. And going back to the 12-year-old Syrian girl who competed in the Tokyo Games by playing hand ping pong, the Syrian president himself gave her a phone call to congratulate her. Mm-hmm. And then we have the other Syrian girl who she went viral all over on social media, including Instagram. She made like the top news headlines. She is the Syrian swimmer who, when she fled the country Syria due to the war, she fled to Greece, and then she swam from Greece all the way to Germany by foot.
Oh, wow.
So that news right there, it made a lot of international news headlines. It went viral all over the place. Wow. So in a way, it is kind of a good thing, because now the media a little bit, especially on the international level, can see, all right, now we can kind of use Syria a little bit, kind of bring some light to it, bring some attention to it. And in regards for the other 12-year-old girl, whom the Syrian president himself, when he gave her a phone call, that also went to all of like the Syrian news broadcasting medias all over the country as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we have a couple other comments from one of our great commentators, Mark Lee, and I thought this was pretty interesting. There is still a possibility Biles may participate in 2 events still, so we may still see her on the court. But like if I was her, I would probably just stay out at this point in time. But I don't know what she's going to do. And then of course we have Mark goes. We have a Kerry team's picked up for the relay team. Will be in the finals, which Kerry is a place close to Raleigh, Durham. North Carolina, by the way. I got to tell people around the world that, because when I say we're in Raleigh, around the world, I don't know if you get this, Jackie, they go, where's that? And I say, well, we're in North Carolina, and then everybody seems to know. Yeah, everybody seems to know where North Carolina is, but a lot of people don't know where Raleigh is, so we have to make that comment to that. And then, of course, you have your own fan club. Okay, which I can't do anything about. You actually had some other fans on the other day. So, okay, so we're moving through some of the sports right now. We do have gold. Canada. Oh well, let's go to rugby. Okay, in rugby, it looks like the United States is out of it. In other words, we can't seem to do well in rugby. Is there any reason why NFL players don't move over and try out rugby. Have you given that any thought, Jackie, why we don't have NFL players in the rugby area?
I mean, as we know, like NFL players are really aggressive within themselves. They are trained to be highly qualified, aggressive players. And going back, it's like the whole NFL football team. It is entertainment. It's a lot of like good entertainment. But in regards for the rugby team, I'm not sure they would do so well in that area because
Yeah.
they are very highly competitive and aggressive people, and they do have the potential to hurt other players, which will bring in a whole new different issue that will be broadcasted all around.
Right. And now we're going to go to Russia because Sasha Starr is not here today because he has his, for people that tune in later on the channel, he's got a huge group of chess players showing up, including the former number 3 player in the world, Alex Shirov, who's from Latvia. Then he has the former Romanian champion. These are both grandmasters. Marian from Romania is going to be there. Professor Kenneth Reagan, who's an international master from the United States, is going to be there. It looks like Jim Mead's going to make an appearance from the United States of America, who wrote the book Chess for Dummies, which I think is a great book. I guess some people like to read. But let's go to Russia. Okay, the Russian Olympic Committee, which is what they call themselves, which was, I think, some form of political compromise rather than just calling them Russia. How are they doing? It looks like in gymnastics, they were really hitting their stride there. So how are the Russians doing right now in the Olympics?
I mean, the Russians, they do know how to play very smart when it does come to competing with other people and with other teams, especially in the Tokyo Games as of right now. So the Russian team, or the ROC team, they are doing standardly pretty well, but other teams are actually ranking higher above them. We have Iran, China, and Serbia who do rank higher above them in regards for the medals and in other games that they're participating in. So I would say this year, like the Russian team isn't doing as normally as highly competitive as they would normally be expected to play.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, when they were the old Soviet Union, because then they got to draw from the Ukraine and all the satellite countries, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, they would have won more medals because they had more influence when they were the Soviet Union. Now, Russia, of course, smaller, but still a huge country. I think it's 25% of the land mass. But it's good to see that at least they allowed them to participate in the Olympics. Years ago, now we go back to the 1984, 19 Olympics, that there was U.S. would protest and wouldn't go play in Moscow, and then Moscow protested and wouldn't go play in Los Angeles. And so what we did is we had a lot of political banter going on, which I think was very unfortunate because then the players couldn't play against each other. So at least now the players get a chance to participate against each other. And now for the last team that I want to look at today is the Refugee Team. The Refugee Team comes from a lot of different countries, it sounds like, and they're refugees. How are they doing? Or have they won anything yet, or are they just basically participants? Or have you been able to get the data on that, Jackie?
I mean, as of right now, the Refugee Team, they are the underdog team as of right now. They are the Refugee Team. They've come from 13 different countries, but in the Olympics this year, they are kind of the underdog because, yes, they are participating in many different games with several different countries, but they haven't won anything big or anything major. Like they really haven't won as many, or probably like not that many gold medals or any silvers or like any bronze, because they're not really going to be brought out highly on that international level. They're not really going to get that much publicity
Right.
because they are the Refugee Team. We really can't bring too much Refugee Team compared to an actual country like the United States or China or Iran.
Right.
So that's kind of where we see that difference.
Yeah, well, that's the reason I want to give them a lot of love, because the thing is, the Refugee Team needs to be recognized at this point in time. Now, another fun fact, 53 years was the longest lasting Olympic record. Now, which means these records that are being set are meant to be broken. It was held by Bob Beamon, who won the long jump a record. I think he jumped like something like 29 feet from what I recall, something really next to impossible. He did it in Mexico where you're at a higher altitude. If you can imagine, something like that made a difference to allow him to jump so far. And now it's since been broken. So all the records that we're seeing look like the records are made to be broken. They'll be broken at a point in time. So I guess we're going to be looking at the gold. We're going to be going for the gold here today, and a lot of different events. So that the United States, I think, is still looking for their gold in basketball, which they haven't received yet, and of course volleyball, and of course tennis is just not going to happen. So with that, we'd like to thank everybody for showing up today, and what we will do is we will catch everybody tomorrow. And I'm not going to be here, but hopefully Mark Lee will be taking over my spot tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow on the IBM TV network. Take care. Bye-bye.